Nicole Danielle.
And I'm Megan Lee, and this is Romance on the Rocks, where two bookish biddies imbibe, although today we are three bookish biddies.
On this episode, we are featuring romance writer AC Wonderland, who is the author of One Shot, a hockey romance, and now Summer Shot, another hockey romance. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, first things first, what are you drinking this evening, AC?
I am drinking a mocktail. Unfortunately, I have work to do after this, but after that work, I will be switching to wine. My go-to is right now, for some reason, is Diet Cherry 7-Up. I never really drink it unless I was sick, but for some reason, it's just been like my go-to when I need some type of fake sugar without caffeine. So I highly recommend. It is delicious.
Nice.
And of course, it has to be in a cup with ice. Like I need it to feel like a cocktail.
Yes, it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
I actually was doing a health and wellness challenge for several months during our recordings and was doing a whole lot of versions of mocktails. So much respect. I get it. But tonight I'm doing in my giant drinking mug some sort of vodka special, which also actually has a little bit of cherry in it. So I feel like we're kind of doing a little bit of a theme there.
I went on theme. I am drinking a Canadian hat trick, total hockey reference.
It
has Canadian whiskey, maple syrup, because you gotta, a little bit of lemon juice, and some Angostura bitters tossed in for a little extra kick. So I went for the full hockey theme.
I have never had one of those, and I don't know why, because I love like bourbon and whiskey, and I'm gonna have to try it. It sounds delicious.
Yeah. We always usually post the recipes for the drinks too, so I'll put a link on when we post the episode. So I'm a huge hockey fan. I am a Hartford Whalers fan back when they were still in Connecticut. Now they are in North Carolina and are reiterated as the Carolina Hurricanes. And I'm still here for the team, but I still have a special place in my heart for the Hartford Whalers. AC, how did you become a hockey fan and start writing about hockey romances?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty funny story. My 8th grade boyfriend. So when I was 12 years old, I was dating someone who played hockey, and he just got me so into it. And I grew up in Chicago, and the Blackhawks had started to be kind of good a little bit around that time. And then I kept growing up, and they kept getting better. So I just hopped on that bandwagon, and I've been a fan ever since. So I always like to say, without him, without Kyle Varzino, I would not love hockey, and I would not have written a hockey romance. He's the first person in my acknowledgments, and we're still friends. So I love to share that with him, because he was like, "You wrote a whole book because of me," and I'm like, that's a little much, but without you, I would not have written it. So shout out to Kyle Varzino. And I just love hockey. To be able to combine hockey and romance and writing all into one was just a perfect opportunity for me. I was looking for an outlet because my day job at the time wasn't super fulfilling, and I needed to find something that was. And I just started writing a hockey romance, and I had like 2 other outlines of books I was interested in writing, but the hockey one kind of just took over and took my life by storm, and here we are with the 2 books in the series. So it's been great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what readers can expect from your hockey romances. Are they slow burns? Are they rom-coms?
That's a great question. I would say definitely slow burns, because I am such a slow burn addict. I love a good slow burn book. I love the angst and the like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you saying that? Why are you not getting together? That is like, I love shouting at my books. So that's kind of how I write also. So definitely slow burn. I would say it depends who you ask, but I would say 2 to 3 max on the spice scale out of 5. So pretty mild compared to most hockey romances. It's definitely not closed door, but there are maybe 2 to 3 spicy scenes within the book that, depending on your interest, could be right up your alley. So a little different than a typical hockey romance. Definitely a lot of hockey. You don't have to love hockey to read the books, but there is an element, obviously, of hockey in there. And I think that was really important to me, because I personally love hockey and have bonded with people over it. And the 2 main characters really bond over their shared love for hockey. Retriever MMC, which I was shocked I wrote because I am such a morally gray girl. Not personally, but like of the of the characters I like. I love morally gray males. And it kind of just happened. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, why do I not read more books with Golden Retriever MMCs? So that is something that's definitely prevalent throughout the first two, also the third book as well. Lucas Donato, the male main character, is definitely the epitome of a Golden Retriever MMC.
I think you're speaking my language when it comes to the spice level and the kinds of books that I enjoy. That's my kind of thing. So thank you for writing those.
I'm not. I like it spicy right off the bat, but
I like a good mix. Sometimes like one thing that I wanted to do with these books specifically was had the spice help drive the plot. But sometimes I'm like, I don't want plot, like there are books that I really I want to get right into it. But that, for me, I'm like, I need a good mix of both. So One Shot is not that, but I might have a few things up my sleeve that might hit on that later in my career.
that's exciting.
I do need to interrupt, though. Who just entered the room and then left? Who is the little man back there?
His name is Guinness.
Okay, thank you.
He is a Yorkie poo. He hopefully stays quiet because he can be very vocal.
Okay.
But he likes to just make appearances. I joke that his office is my guest bedroom, which is right next to my office. He likes to lounge in there when he gets sick of hearing my voice all day. I'm actually really excited because I'm writing him into a book, which I never thought I would do when I got a dog. But now I'm like, oh, I love you so much. I have to write you into a book.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you for helping me with my curiosity there. But when a pet enters the picture, I have to know. So thank you.
AC, what inspires you to write besides hockey and adorable pets?
I love, which is so cheesy to say. I grew up with parents that were just the epitome of a perfect relationship. And I am lucky enough to have witnessed that unconditional, true, pure love my entire life. And that's kind of what made me interested in romance books because they don't know this, but Summer Shot, they will know this by the time this is released probably. Summer Shot is actually dedicated to them because they are, for me, the original love story in my life was my parents. So that's kind of what got me started, interested in that. And I've just always loved reading and writing. And I think the first romance book I read was probably Romeo and Juliet for school. And I was obsessed with it. I was always mad when someone else was called on to be Juliet and it wasn't me. I was like, I want to be here. I know she dies, but I want to be here anyway. And that kind of was what did it for me. I just became obsessed with it. And I think the beauty of writing romance is that I get to help people witness that feeling and maybe they had a really hard day or maybe they had a great day, whatever it is, they still get to escape into that world and see that glimpse of love and a love story unfolding. We don't always want it to have a third act breakup. Sometimes it does, but I always want to give people a happily ever after because life is hard and there's not always happily ever afters in life. And I think that you should get that in your books.
What were some of the first romance novels that you started reading?
I started reading again as an adult in probably 2020. So I think everyone who has gone through a similar phase as me is in college, I didn't read because I had to read. And then 2020 happened and I was, at home and needing something to do, trying to learn how to play guitar and very terrible at it. So I turned to books instead. But some of my favorites, you can see right there, that one is my absolute favorite book, A Court of Mist and Fury. I'm big into fantasy as well, which is one huge Easter egg of why the team is called the Wyverns. I wanted to tie fantasy into it as something that I'll do later on. But I would say some of I know I mentioned Romeo and Juliet, but that's the one that really sticks out to me as younger me reading. And then I started reading a lot of Colleen Hoover books, which are really mixed with, it's romance and a lot of trauma. So those were kind of the first books that got me hooked. And that's something that I loved about her books was the mental health representation within them. I think that's something that at the time when I was reading those, it wasn't very prevalent. Now it's a lot more prevalent. So I would say those got me really into reading. Now I love everything and anything. Emily Henry is one of my favorites. I would also say Christina Lauren. I love them. Their books are so wonderful. Tessa Bailey is also another favorite of mine. I love SJM, obviously. Who doesn't? If you don't, then I will have to have a conversation with you later. But I would say, yeah, those are some of my favorites that I've been reading recently.
Nice. It sounds like you have very eclectic taste.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a little all over the board. I love fantasy. I don't love fantasy with audiobooks. I do a lot of audiobooks. I am such a visual person, such a visual learner that I am like, squirrel, what happened? I missed something important. And I can't do it. But I do love from dark romance to like very cheesy rom-coms. I love it all. I love the whole spectrum of romance novels.
What book is currently on your nightstand, or what book are you currently reading?
I just finished last night, actually, The 7 Year Slip. It was, I don't know if either of you have read it, but highly recommend it. I'm doing, I don't know if either of you have done this, but I am like recommending this to everybody. I'm part of 2 traveling book clubs where we have one book and it goes to multiple people and you annotate it and then get to read other people's like comments and things like that. It's so fun.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I gotta interrupt. Nicole and I have this conversation all the time. I highlight the heck out of all my books, and I always feel so guilty about it. Like, I wouldn't want to hand that to somebody else and be like, here's all the weird stuff I highlighted. So, like, knowing that there's multiple people doing it to one book, that's amazing.
It is wonderful. And I think at first I got a little distracted by everyone's comments. So it's like, yes, I agree. The premise is like he's a chef. And so I'm like, I am always hungry reading this because they're always talking about him cooking and different recipes. But it's cool to just see what other people think is important because I also think as a writer, I now read differently than I used to. So sometimes I'm just like, oh, that was really visually appealing. Like I really liked how they talked about his hair, where people like normal people probably don't think about that. But I highly recommend doing one. It's been really fun. And I heard a lot of great things about this book, and I couldn't get into it until like 2/3 of the way. But once I was into it, I did not leave my couch. So it just hit me in the feels. I was bawling. It was great. I need a book that destroys me a little bit on different occasions. It was yesterday. I really needed that. So I definitely recommend. The name of the author is escaping me, but it is a really, really cute book. Yellow cover is called The 7 Year Slip.
I love that.
Great. Yeah.
I think, Megan, we may have to start having a traveling book.
That sounds so me. I love that.
So, AC, what was your journey like as a romance writer? How did you get your first book published? How did that go for you?
Yeah, it was really interesting because I knew absolutely nothing about anything book publishing related. When I first started writing, didn't really plan to publish. And then I was like, well, why not? I did a lot of research on if I wanted to try to query and go the traditional route. And I actually decided on doing indie publishing. So I am self-published on my own publisher, which is nice because I'm on my own timelines, which is beautiful. But it also means I get to do everything I want. I think some people are a little afraid of that because you have to wear a lot of different hats and be willing to do the marketing, be willing to build your own team, be willing to reach out to bookstores, reach out to editors, find your cover artists, find beta readers, find other like PR partnerships and things like that. But I love that aspect of it. I like being able to build a team of people that is just as passionate about books, especially romance books, as I am. And not to say if I went the traditional route that I wouldn't have that, but it feels like a closer knit family because I've kind of like hand selected some of these people. So I did a lot of research to try and decide which one I wanted to do. Met a lot of wonderful author friends that kind of really encouraged me to go the indie route just based on their own experiences. And then just did an F ton of research to figure out what to do and what that's like. Funny thing is, most of the people I met that I now work with, like my editor, my cover artists, the PR agencies I work with, I met everyone online, which I always joke, I'm like, Mom, remember when you told me when I was younger, don't make friends online? Well, that's what I do every day. And it's great. It's wonderful. So without, the Bookstagram or Book Talk community, I wouldn't have met these people that have really helped me along this journey and helped me find out the different steps to take. It's been great so far.
The whole meeting people online thing, it's crazy how things have changed, isn't it?
Yeah.
I used to have to tell my grandmother
Huge.
that I met my husband in a coffee shop because I could not tell her that I met him online. That would have just been way too much.
Which grandma? Mert?
Yeah.
Yeah. AC, have you had any challenges as a writer, as an indie author?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A lot, a lot. It's hard. It's really hard. I used to know the stat like off the top of my head, but it's something crazy. Like 3% of people who start writing a book actually finish it. And of that 3%, less than 1% actually publish. So it's a lot of people falling off. I think the most difficult part is just making sure that you stick through it. Like there's always going to be difficult times where like you don't want to write or you're not feeling inspired or you're feeling like why does this matter to people? Like I'm just a normal person who decided I wanted to I was gonna say pick up a pen, but I did not type at a keyboard and, write a story that was in my head and my heart. And I am lucky enough that people have encouraged me along the way. So whenever I feel that way, I have a wonderful author friend named Kara Zone. I talk to her a lot to get a lot of advice. I have some great beta readers and a wonderful assistant who also like helped me kind of get through that. But I would say that is the biggest challenge is just keep to keep going and actually get to the point where you are publishing a book because the steps to get there are there's a lot of them. Like I couldn't, if you asked me to like lay them out, I don't think I could even do it. I would probably miss something. But I would say that's the most challenging, but also the most rewarding because then you get encouragement from people too. And to be able to have people message you and say how much they loved your book or how they felt understood or heard from different things that you wrote, like that's something I never imagined. So getting through all of the process to get to that point is 100% worth it.
That's very cool. I'm always intrigued. How do you, as an author, in your situation particularly, go about choosing names for your characters?
Yeah. I, for one shot, was pretty intentional. I have no idea what his last name is, but his first name is Lucas. I met him when I was 5 years old. He was the first boy I ever had a crush on. And that is why the main character's name is Lucas, because I was like, you know what? Like, I want to tie it to things that matter to me or things that other people in my life might know. Like my mom knows that. She's like, oh, like I wonder if I can find his mom. I'm like, no, we don't need to find his mom. She doesn't need to know. It's okay. Because they were friends when I was growing up. But that's how I picked Lucas as a main character. I try to tie it to something that is meaningful, but sometimes I'm just like, that is a really cool name and I want to use it. I have a massive list. I really like nicknames. And for the female main character, I wanted her to have a nickname and I wanted her to have a nickname that her brother specifically gave her to show their relationship. But that one kind of came about because my favorite country artist's wife's name is Lauren. And I was just like, you know what? I listen to his music probably every day. It would be cool. Not that he's ever going to know or she's ever going to know, but it'd be cool to put that in there. And a lot of my friends know that, it's Thomas Rhett. I'm a huge Thomas Rhett fan. So a lot of my friends are like, oh, is that why? And I'm like, yes, that is why, So it's kind of nice to like hide some little Easter eggs in there with the names. But not all of them. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, I'll pick a letter and here's the names I'm thinking of. And then it just really depends.
Do you have a favorite character or a couple from your novels that you particularly relate to?
I would say Lucas and Lore, I am like both of them a lot. There's pieces of me in both of them, but neither of them are my favorite character. My favorite character, I have not told anyone yet because the first 3 books in the Wyverns hockey series are Lucas and Lauren, which I think is a little different than most sports romance books, but they just had so much story to tell. The 4th book is a different couple and is my favorite character in that book. I won't say who, but I'm like just so excited to write that one. I've already started, even though like the 3rd book is partially done, but I've already started writing book 4 just because of how excited I am about it.
I love that. Where do you like to write? Do you have a certain room or a certain setup or situation or things that you need around you or to have beforehand before you write?
Yeah, I used to write on my couch a lot, but now I love to write in my office with my bookshelf behind me. Like my bookshelf is only a couple months old, so I'm very obsessed with it. Like finally I have a cool TikTok background. But I feel like I have two screens, so that's nice to be able to go back and forth between like notes or research and writing. I do actually a lot of research to make sure like what I'm writing in terms of college hockey is accurate or any other subgenre of romance that I'm writing is accurate. So I do really like it. But sometimes I just need to get out of my house and I'll go write at a brewery. If there's a chapter that's difficult for me to write, that's when I want to go out of my house. So I'm like, okay, like I'm in one of my favorite spots. I have a good drink and now I can get into it. So it really just depends on my mood. I guess I'm kind of a mood writer, which I didn't know was a thing before, but it's definitely how I write.
And then do you set like word count goals or page goals for yourself for writing for the week or the day?
Yeah, I focus more on like here's when I want to start, here's when I want to finish. I give myself like a week buffer because I know things happen. So I'll have like extra writing days, and I more plot out like the chapters of like how many chapters I want to write what day. I do have a day job, so I pretty much work from 7 to 7 with writing, which is a long, long day. And my dog does not love that most days, so I definitely have to take breaks. But I focus less on the word count and more on like the content that I'm getting out. Because there also are days where I'm like, I am not in a good mood and I cannot write this cheesy, wonderful romance chapter right now. I am crabby, so I'm actually gonna go 5 chapters ahead when she gets mad at him and write that instead. So I'm more focused on like trying to just make sure I'm writing than how much I'm writing, if that makes sense.
So would you say you're a linear writer or do you
Yeah.
like, no, yeah. Because
I
you just
try
said
to
you
be
jumped ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to be sometimes like there are times where I literally my editor makes fun of me because I'll put like insert spicy scene here and then I'll keep going. I didn't even know that people didn't write in order until I did it. And then I was asking other author friends of mine, they're like, oh yeah, I never. And I'm like, oh, I like now when I read a book, I'm like, oh, I'm so curious. Did they write this in order? 'Cause I do plot it out. I do outline it. So that definitely helps. But sometimes I'm just like, I'm not feeling writing this or like I'm not feeling inspired by this particular part that I need to write. So I'm just going to skip ahead. Or sometimes I decide just to skip into a different book and start writing something completely new, which has happened way more often than I would like to admit.
So at least you've got your flow going still. You're not
Yes.
just
Yeah.
at a standstill. That's probably important in the overall process.
Yeah. For me, it's less like what I write and more like I'm actually writing. It's really hard when I take like a long break between one shot and summer shot. I kind of took a little bit of a break. And then I feel like when I take a break, that's when I get writer's block instead of like, okay, maybe I have writer's block for this scene or even this book. But if I pivot and start writing something else, because all authors have a million works in progress going on while they're writing and trying to focus on one book, sometimes it turns into an entirely new book that you didn't even think you were going to write. So I just try to focus on making sure that I am writing when I have the motivation to and less on like what I'm writing.
Can I quick ask a question then? When you
Yeah.
say multiple books in progress, how many are you juggling at one time?
Too many. Um, I try to limit myself. I'm just very type A, so I have like an Excel sheet and like a calendar, and this is what I'm doing when. So I'm like, once I start having an idea for one thing, I'm like, okay, I'll write it down, I'll outline it, but I cannot come back to it because I need to focus on this project. But I actually just finished writing a book yesterday that is nothing to do with hockey whatsoever, which it felt very weird to me at first, but I'm also working on books 3 and 4 of the Wyverns hockey series and another side project. So right now I'm working on 4, but I also kind of bounce back and forth, and one always takes over the other. It always happens. Like you kind of just get really excited and passionate about one thing, and then I'm like, okay, I got to stick to this now. I'm halfway through. I can't pivot. Can't pivot to a new one. Um, but just something I never even imagined, like working on more than one book at a time. But it's pretty common now, which is cool. It's hard to keep from having those thoughts. I'm like, okay, if I write it down, sometimes it won't take over and I'll come back to it. But recently it's been taking over.
I feel though, like if you had a really good idea that didn't seem to fit the characters in one particular book, it might be easier then to understand that it's more a character in a different book that would have that kind of situation. So I can see that that would actually be really helpful for keeping those creative juices flowing.
Yeah, definitely. That is how the book I just finished yesterday kind of came about, because I was like, oh, I want to add this. And I'm like, that makes no sense. In this book, that would never happen and that person would never be there. So, but it makes sense for something else. So yes, 100%.
Do you have any advice for aspiring writers?
Yeah, keep going. It is hard, but it's worth it. There are so many times when I wanted to give up. There are so many times when I was like, I am not a good writer. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this before, but it is 100% worth it to have one person read your book. And that one person could be you, but I promise there will be more than one person who reads it. And it's just so worth it. Working through all that clutter and the imposter syndrome and the characters taking over your books, because it happens a lot, and having mind of their own and or minds of their own, and having other books come up and things like that. There's so much that happens when you're trying to focus on one thing. And maybe this is just a me thing. I do have bad ADD. But it's so worth it to work through all of that and get to the end. Even if you think that it's not worth it, like writing it, for me, I was like, you know what? I just want to change one person's life by writing this book. And the one person for me was myself, because I gave myself that outlet to find something that was really fulfilling. And like that, to me, is more than enough by having that impact on yourself. So that is my advice: is don't be discouraged. You can just keep going, find other authors to talk to. I think that's been the most helpful, is having people that understand, because it's so hard to explain the challenges that come up to non-writers. So that's always been really helpful to have that connection and that community, which again is something I never even thought about. But thanks to social media, it's something that's so prevalent in my life, and I'm really thankful for it.
How do you go about connecting with other authors as a writer yourself?
I just slide into their DMs. I'm going to be completely honest. There are some author groups I found through Instagram, Facebook, Discord. I'm sure there's some on TikTok, but I don't use it as much. But I just have, met one person, and one person met someone else, and someone else met someone else, and then just made a group. So honestly, just reaching out to people. And it doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with your work, like you're my favorite author. It can be like, hey, I've seen your book around. I am also an indie author. Like, I'm interested to just like chat with you. More people are willing to talk to you than you realize. You just have to be the one to make, the effort to do it. So yeah, just slide into someone's DMs. It's the way to go.
I love that. What's a fun fact your readers might not know about you?
Apparently, I like to say slide into DMs, and I do that for authors. Though I would say one thing is probably that I don't really read hockey romance, which I think is very surprising. I genuinely just love hockey, and when I first started writing, I was like, well, now I can't read it because I don't want people to be like, well, you got this idea from so and so. And for me, it was more of like, I want to be true to myself and make sure I'm not getting. I mean, people get ideas from every. So I'm not really a big hockey romance reader. I think because I'm such a big hockey fan in real life, and most hockey books aren't usually the most accurate, because we want to make sure we can have the spice moments and the connection between characters and things like that. So yeah, I have a lot of friends who are hockey romance authors, and I have a lot of hockey romance books. I just don't read a ton of them.
That actually makes a lot of sense, though.
I want to tell people that it's one of two ways. Yeah, it's either like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? Or like, oh, okay. Yeah.
No, I get it. Keep your ideas unadulterated by outside forces.
Yes. Where can people buy your book?
A lot of different places. If you want sprayed edge editions, they're only on my website, which is acwonderlandwrites.com. I also have books available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, a lot of local indie bookstores as well. It's something I'm really focused on, is trying to work more with indie bookstores. If you go to an indie bookstore that has my book and they don't have signed book plates, tell them I will send them to them. And that's something I'm trying to do more of, is work with bookstores to make sure they have signed book plates, because I'm indie. I want to support indie as much as I can. So those would be the 4 main places, but the sprayed edges are only available on my website.
Very cool. And I do want to thank you, because for our Fun Adventures in Milwaukee at the beginning of September, you gave us a couple copies of your book and fun swag with stickers and whatnot related to the book. And we actually gave the books away for this mass blind date with a book swap.
I love it. I love Milwaukee. I went to Marquette, so I lived there for about 5 years.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. What are your socials? How can people find you, learn more about you, follow you?
AC Wonderland Writes is my Instagram, my TikTok. Not going to lie, I'm not that good at TikTok. I'm trying. I also just don't want to go down all of the wormholes I know I'll go down on TikTok. I already do that on Instagram enough, so I can't do both. But I do. I'm Instagram, TikTok. I do Instagram a lot more. If you're trying to contact me through message and you send it on TikTok, probably won't see it because I don't check it as often. But Instagram, definitely, I'm such a millennial by saying that. You can tell. It's okay. I'm fine with it. Also, my website, acwonderlandwrites.com. I have an e-newsletter as well. If you go to acwonderlandwrites.com/contact, you can sign up there. I promise I will not spam your inbox. I barely send one a month. This month, I've maybe sent 2 just because I have a book releasing, but I don't send a lot. But I do have exclusive content in newsletters, like sneak peeks of books, contests that are only for people who subscribe. So definitely worth checking out.
Awesome. I fully admit we just forayed into TikTok as well, and I'm struggling with it. I'm trying to be hip and jiggy with it, and I'm not.
I am too. It's hard.
Just the fact that you said hip and jiggy with it is just showing how badly this is going for us on TikTok.
Hey, I finally figured out how to post the videos ahead of time. So,
Well, that is the one thing I will say I like TikTok over Instagram. You can schedule out a lot more in advance, which is so nice. As someone who is such a planner and very type A, I love that.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you would like our listeners to know about you or your books, AC?
That is a great question. Yes, there is one thing. One Shot, which is the first book in the Vibrant Hockey series, is actually now available on Kindle Unlimited. So check it out. The second book is not on there yet, but it's releasing on 9/30. So really, really soon. It might be on there in the future, but you can at least check out the first book, see if you like it. Let me know.
That's awesome. Well, we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for, giving us some pieces of wisdom and
swag and books.
Yes, all the things. Remember to check out all of her socials and buy some books, you guys, from some indie bookstores. We know we love supporting our local folk. Thank you for joining us today for Romance on the Rocks. Please like, subscribe, follow, and if you are a hopelessly romantic, bookish biddy like us, think about giving us a review on Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you catch your podcasts. And until next time, know that your support really means the world to us. Stay safe and know that you are loved.